created this video just to show what's involved in getting a tune. When you arrive at the workshop to get a normal tune or a dyno, what happens is we plug the flash scan device into your car. Underneath the dashboard there's an OBD plug that it plugs into, and we plug the other end of the cable into my tuning laptop. And then I open up this software which is called EFI Live. This is the tuning software, and I go up the top here to read, and I'll choose either usually for an LS1 it'll be 9908, or I'll choose E38 to select the computer that's in all of the VE Commodores, and then I'll click start, and it'll take a few minutes to pull out the entire contents of the operating system and the file that's inside of the car's ECM or PCM. Now once that's available at the end of the few minutes, I'm then able to make adjustments to the tune calibration. And as you can see, there's a vast range of areas that I can change, right down to the speedo accuracy, the diff gears, fans. There's different ranges that change the fan speed based on coolant temperature. Fuel tank sizes vary between the different models of vehicles. There's also a number of ranges of diagnostic limits that bring on engine lights and codes to show that the car's got a problem, and a lot of those things need to be changed when the cars are modified because the airflows are different. We've also got things like the electronic throttle response. Most of these calibrations here, we can spread them all out, and there's a heap of settings there, but they don't really apply to a lot of our cars. Same with camshaft phasing. It's information that's applicable to cars with variable valve timing. Typically not many engines, only a few in America that have it. Same with AFM. In the AFM we've got the ability to turn the AFM off if required. Engine protection has got rev limiters that are even based at different temperatures. And then there's a lot of torque limiting controls that need to be optimized to get the cars to drive the best. There's also, as you can see, a heap of different spark tables. Spark general, spark idle, knock sensors values, range of knock sensor values, and areas that control the sensitivity of the knock sensors. Also what happens when the car's in DFCO, which is decel fuel cut, to save fuel, or clutch fuel cut, that help it change gears. There's also stuff to do with what happens to the cat converters when the car starts, but the main areas we're playing in is in this area. As you can see, there's a high octane timing table, there's a low octane timing table, and it's important that both of these are set up properly, so the car can learn between them based on knock sensor activity. There's also protection based on intake air temperature, so on a hot day the car will have less timing advance. There's coolant temperature protection, so when the engine coolant gets hot it pulls timing out. There's also a number of other tables that sometimes we need to work in. There's a range of different idle controls, so idle airflow controls, corrections, what happens when the car is cranking, what happens when it's going along at different temperatures, the idle speed. And VE Commodores don't have a normal fuel table, they've got an equation that does the fueling, so we've got the ability through this table to be able to make adjustments to the fuel control. We've got different tables for fuel injector size that we sometimes need to change. Also cat protection, open loop tables that it uses before the O2 sensors turn on, O2 trims, dynamics, which affects how the car changes its fueling when the throttle is rapidly opened or rapidly closed, and it's important to get that right to get the MAFless cars in particular to behave themselves the best way. Power enrichment, which is extra fuel that's given to the engine under high load conditions. There's numerous strategies that we can apply to that to improve the way the cars feel. Decel fuel cut, which I've already mentioned, is an emissions thing, but it also saves fuel. What happens when the car starts? Also a number of other things to do with blending based on coolant and intake temperature. So you can see that there's a lot of settings to change, and tuning used to be just mostly fueling and spark, but now because of the exceptional control that these ECUs take of the engine's behavior, that there are a lot of other things that need to be modified, and typically we change about 100 tables in a VE Commodore and almost that many different tables in the LS1 now. We've developed it over a few years of tuning. Pretty much I'm constantly looking to the most recent tunes that we've done in the last few months because I know that they're the best. We work really hard to constantly look for things to improve the product that we're delivering to the customer. So basically, once adjustments are made in the tuning software and we save it, we can then flash it back into the car, and then it's then ready for data logging, and that's where we use this software called EFI Live Scan software. We connect it to the car. It measures the parameters as the car's driving. It looks a bit like this as we're driving. RPM up here, speed, temperatures, spark timing, air fuel mixtures that are measured, manifold pressure, and electronic throttle control percentage. So that actually is built while it's happening. It actually builds charts for us to make analysis in other areas. That's just got the air fuel ratios being averaged out. That's how many counts, that's the average. So basically, as we're driving or the car is on the dyno, a data log is captured, and then at the end of that data log, the data log is analysed, and I'm able to make decisions to improve what's in the tune settings, and then we put new tune settings in the car and we relog and keep doing that until I'm satisfied that the car is tuned as well as we can get. People often say, you know, what's better, to tune on the road or on the dyno? Well, my answer to that is that most tuning happens between the tuner's ears. When you stopped looking at a data log that you've collected, and it really doesn't matter where you've collected the data log. In fact, it's good to collect some from normal driving, some from racing, some on the dyno, and you know, basically in different conditions the cars will behave differently. So on a cold weather to hot weather, you want to be sure that the car will adapt properly to those conditions, and that's something that we've developed in all of the LS1 and all of the Gen 4 tunes. Is, you know, basically had my own vehicles that have these engines. I've driven them for thousands and thousands of kilometers and made massive adjustment ranges to my own vehicles, and I've paid attention to how they drift in cold weather to hot weather. So, you know, that's helped us put the development into delivering the best possible product we can for the customer. So yeah, this is what happens. So at the end of the log, it compiles it and compiles the entire chart, and then, as I said, decisions can be made and we can get it right. Now, one thing I've expanded this into is that I can tune cars all over the world. I've got clients in about 10 different countries now, and a lot of it happens remotely. I have the ability to do remote control of the software on the customer's computer, and pretty much as long as they can plug the device into the car, I can control the software and read the tune, flash the tune, and make, you know, tuning adjustments the same as if I was present at the place. We've got a race car in Norway that I tune that races in GT racing, and I've tuned that on the engine dyno. I've tuned it on a normal wheel dyno, a dyno jet, and we've also tuned it when it's been racing in a race, like basically looking at the log after the race, making adjustments. So certainly there's a lot of scope for us being able to deliver the tunes remotely, no matter where the customer is in the world. Anyway, that's an introduction to the tuning. As you can see, it's a little bit more involved than just a couple of tables. There is a lot of development in it. It's certain that a beginner could read the file out and make a couple of adjustments and make some improvements to the way the car could behave, but there's also a lot of areas in the tune settings that people without experience could make mistakes, and you could also be stuck with a lot of problems that we've found over the years that we can account for. So anyway, thank you. I hope this has been of value to you.